One. That's how you ring a bell, Rotarians. Let it ring. All right, good morning. Welcome, Rotarians. My name is Tom Foden. I'm Sergeant Arms. Today is September 10th, 2025. I just wanted to mention, I believe we called 3 guests this morning. Cindy, right? And Frank. Frank is with us this morning too. Everyone say a little bit. And I see. Neil. Neil Backenberry, a long lost soul. We haven't seen him before. Former member of this club, and we're happy to see this. So I am going to turn things over. I know that I usually do other things, but our illustrious president, Keith Eberson, is going to be with this morning. So.
Good morning, fellow Rotarians. Got a little flashback vibes of Rocker Room there. Up there saying I see red and I said, tomorrow marks the 24th anniversary of the September 11th attacks, the single that lives in terrorism history. On that day, 2,977 lives were lost across 3 locations. The World Trade Center in New York City, the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia, and a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Not all of these lives were Americans. 372 individuals from 102 countries were casualties as well. Over the course of time, tens of thousands of additional victims can trace their suffering back to that fateful day. Mostly these are police officers, firefighters, first responders, and other community members who have been afflicted with various illnesses, respiratory conditions, mental health problems like PTSD and depression, gastrointestinal conditions, and various forms of cancer. I would like to add a big moment of silence. Thank you. In lieu of the typical invocation that we normally do these meetings with, I would like to recite to you the score lyrics of a spiritual hymn I'm sure we are all familiar with. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Was grace that left my heart to fear, and grace my fears relief. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. His grace hath brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. The Lord hath promised good to me. His words my lips cures. He will my shield and portion as long as life. This hymn was written by a gentleman named John Newton and was first published in 1779. It tells the story of his spiritual transformation from a slave ship captain to a devoted priest and highlights how God's grace can lift someone from despair, salvation, provide guidance, protection, and eternal life. Now I would like to invite Sam, who is going to be our newest Rotarian, to come up to the stage and to lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance and the four-way test. Come on up.
Hey, let's all say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill, better friendships? Will it be beneficial? Oh, sorry.
Sure that we all remember that fateful day 24 years ago, probably. For me, it had additional significance, as it was quite nearly the day my oldest daughter Sarah was. Me and my wife went down to Akron General Hospital in the chaos for her to try to give birth. You can imagine the concern I felt becoming a father for the first time. Yeah. Not knowing what was going on and wondering how I was going to protect my family in the midst of all that. Fortunately, Sarah decided to wait almost another week before coming into the world. Make sure the folks going on outside lying in the park. Although Sarah wasn't born that day, one good thing, I believe it did her. For a moment in time, our country came together. We put aside our differences, we became one people, one country, bringing comfort to one another, as well as trying to make sense of substance. So it's with great sadness that I look forward today, nearly 2.5 decades later, and see our society so fiercely divided across many different issues. I hope our nation one day return to the spirit of unity that defined us on September 12th, 2000. Which brings me to my next point. 2 weeks ago, we had a visitor from our group to introduce themselves. They were only here for a few minutes, but what started as an introduction quickly became a campaign pitch. This caught everyone, including myself, off guard, and was upsetting to many of our members. As you know, the Rotary is a nonpartisan organization. We support no political party or endorse any political position. Our mandate is to uplift all members of the Hudson community and promote the ideals outlined in our 4-way test of the spirit of service of self. It is important to note that I do not attribute any nefarious or underhanded motivations to occur, either to our visitor or any Rotarian who had communicated with her prior to the meeting. She appears to be an understanding, minded individual, and I'm sure the same thing be said of her own. For my part, I'm not particularly focused on politics, and I don't live in that world. When I look out at all of you from up here at this podium, I don't see Republican or Democrat. I see people that I care about, who know themselves, care about each other, all coming together to make a positive impact on our community. In my defense, I had no indication that this individual would be more than simply introduce themselves in conjunction with the position that they were appointed to. Had I known, I would have made the club's no campaign position clear. But as the saying goes, popular eye great treatment often stops here. So in that spirit, I apologize for any issues or concerns you may have had. Going forward, I need to ask a favor of all of you. If anyone you know reaches out wanting to visit our club or seeking public office, or are looking to save political talking points, please dissuade them from doing so. All are welcome to attend our meetings, and I hope the reason for their visit is to learn more about Rotary with the intent of possibly the club. If you skim when visiting our meeting and knowing that they are running for a public office, please let me know so I can explain our policy to them. I would like to avoid embarrassing them in front of our group by asking them to stop what they are doing. Public service is a noble endeavor. We have several valued members of our group currently serve or have in the past served as elected in this community. But for the good of the club, I cannot allow any campaigning or public statements to be made from our gatherings. So I appreciate your support of the standard, and with this, we'll now begin our program. So the first thing I'd like to do is ask Marilyn to come up. We have exciting news regarding from the West Reserve that she'd like to share with.
Thank you, President Keith. At last week's board meeting, we made the commitment to open the meeting of the next concert on September 28th as a social event for our club. And I want to tell you, there's great excitement in the community about this particular concert. Theron Jones is coming, Theron Brown is coming, he's a jazz pianist, who's well known throughout the Akron area. And we are making this concert available to the community free of charge because of a generous donation from Dr. Michael Frank. The reason that I'm addressing you today is that we have a wonderful reception after this concert, starting at about 6 o'clock in the evening with wine tasting. And I can tell you that right now we have more than 100 people signed up to come, and 6 bottles of wine ain't gonna cut it. We need to let Michelle know how many members of our club are coming so that we can get a more accurate count and be better prepared to host you in an appropriate way. Michelle does a wonderful job. You do not need to eat dinner that night. Let's just put it that way. It is a very generous and wonderful reception. It's a very neighborly kind of event. People come and they linger. So it's not unusual for people to be there at 7:30 still talking. No problem. It's a nice community event for Hudson, and Rotary has committed to coming as a group as a social event for September. And you'll hear more about this when Madeline and I present to you on September 24th. We'll actually have a sampler there on Joe Brown. And he's an exciting event. A free concert starting at 5 o'clock, music from the Western Reserve, Christ Community, Christ Episcopal Chapel. And then Sunday, September 28th. You will get a link in the next email that I send, or you can Google Music from the Western Reserve and simply sign up for a free ticket. Okay, Google it, it's right online, but it's really going to be a fun event. So like I said, we've got more than 100 people already signed up. We want to make sure that Michelle is ready and we don't embarrass ourselves. So let us know that you're coming. It's going to be a good day.
Thank you, Marilyn. Did you say you were bringing a sample of the wines on the 24th? Oh. When we get our presentation for today, I would like to ask Terry to she's about ready to flip out of her car. Terry, come to the stage. Terry is handling speakers for September. Our theme is culture. So Terry, thank you for all of your help and all of your efforts this month, and I will turn it over to Terry.
Good morning, Rotary and guests. We are fortunate in that Ms. Val Renner here to speak this morning from the Akron Civic Theatre. Val's journey with the Civic Theatre spans an impressive 15 years, during which she has evolved from marketing director to the pivotal role of associate director, focusing on community events and special programming. You may remember having a little problem with someone who was overzealous with the tape on boxing up some materials and things that will be available to you when she's done speaking at the end of the meeting. Her extensive experience in the entertainment industry, totaling over 2 decades, has provided her with a unique perspective that she brings to every project at the Civic. Throughout her tenure, Val has been a creative force behind a series of beloved in-house events that have enriched the local cultural landscape. Events like Wine, Cheese, and Chocolate Darling, Pints and Pies, and a Whiskey Deemed Worthy showcase her flair for crafting experiences that not only entertain but also foster community engagement. Additionally, she is the mastermind behind Boom Theater, further solidifying her commitment to innovative programming. When Val was invited to join the Civic staff, she embraced the opportunity to leverage her expertise in advancing the Jewel on Main Street. Her passion and dedication have played a transformative role in establishing the Civic Theatre as a cherished community asset and a thriving hub for entertainment. Born and raised in the Akron area, Val is deeply rooted in her community, embodying the spirit of local pride. Outside of her professional life, she enjoys a vibrant family life, time
and there are 3 wonderful children, Austin, Kara, and Chad. The Renner household is also home to 2 playful sheep-beagles, Daisy and Barley. Val Renner's contributions to the Civic Theater not only highlight her professional talents, but also reflect her genuine love for the community. Her ongoing efforts ensure that the Civic continues to be a place where creativity flourishes and where the community comes together to celebrate the arts. So with that, I will introduce Ms. Val Renner and let her tell us all about the theater. If you've not experienced it yet, you need to try to get down there. It's really quite a venue. Thank you, Terry. Good morning, everyone. How are you today? You know, when you work in the entertainment industry, we're like vampires. Terry said 7:30 in the morning. Oh my
I had to zoom
God. So
down.
I ran over a stump on the way here. And then there was a school bus that had a flat tire. So I'm looking for a better day. How about that? So let's start it here. So thank you, Terry, for inviting me here. I think she said it all. I'm ready to go home, you think. I have had such an amazing journey in entertainment for a long time. 20 years, that's what I could say, but I had more than that. When I grew up, I was in Akron, and as a little girl, I remember going to the jewelry industry and thinking it's a castle. My gosh, I want to live here. And then I never knew in my career that one day I would be helping to keep the jewelry industry shining. So it's very dear to my heart. The Civic will be celebrating its 100th anniversary in 2029. So we're very excited about that. When I came on staff, and it's been 15 years now, I was invited by our executive director, Court Park. I had been working in the arts before that, and I had just come back from London. I was living the arts in London too. And it's quite a difference when you live in Europe and you come back to the States and everything is funded there. The arts are funded. They feel like you have to know where you've been to know where you're going. And I loved it there. But when I came back, my father died. And I thought, I'm going to retire. I'm going to retire. I have 3 children now. I don't want to go back into the entertainment field because it's very, very aggressive on nights, weekends, you name it. And so I was sitting by my home, and Howard Clark called me up. He found out that I was back in town. And he said, can I try and get you to come and do something with me? And I said, oh, what? And he goes, well, it's the jewel on Main Street. And I thought, oh, why did you do that to me? Why? And I said, what do you need? He goes, we're only doing 50 events a year. Everybody thinks the Civic's closed, and I know with your background, you can help me. And I thought about it. I have to do this because community is so important to me, and the arts are so important to me. I've always been the advocate that children need to be subjected to arts. Because if they have it when they're young, they won't be afraid of it when they grow old. How many times have I heard a husband at a ballet with this little girl saying, are you enjoying this? Yeah, this is amazing. So if you have when you're younger, you're always going to incorporate it somehow when you're older. And I'm a big thing about children's programming. We take away the crayons and the instruments, and we play sports, which is fine. All 3 of my children play. But what about the arts? If we don't have the arts or the imagination, where do we go? We go to video games? Is that our world now? I hope not. Live events are so important for every individual to encounter. Thank you, Terry, for talking about Boom. I'd like to bring this up. I've done so many programmings at the Civic, like we were saying, wine, cheese, and chocolate, darling. Never comes to the God, I hear you like wine. What was that all about? So I have a shop, and we pair every type of wine mash. We taste about 125 different wines. And yeah, it's a great night. And we have chocolatiers that come, we pair them with the specific wines. And we have cheese lovers there. And we pair everyone with the cheese. So, and it's all throughout the Civic. Someone said to me, you'll never be able to pull that one off. There's no cheese, there's no chocolatiers are gonna do that. That's watch. That's my favorite word. My favorite phrase, I should say. And we've done it in this fundraiser for the Civic. And it's grown and grown and grown. And the idea I got was when I was at the University of Akron, go Zips. And I volunteered for a chocolate festival down there. And I thought in my brain, wow, this would be great one day if I could do one of these. So I went ahead and I did it. And then we have coming up October 10th, Pints and Pies. It used to be the Akron Craft Beer Festival because my last name is Renner. And if any of you know anything about the history of brewing beer, you might recognize the Renner name. They were quite a force in Akron. And my husband said, you need to have a beer festival. And I said, really? He goes, yeah, craft beer is coming up. And that was like 11 years ago. So we created that. And now we pair it with lots of what we call pies. Is anybody from New York here? No? So pies, everybody said, what's a pie? Beer and pie, what are you talking about? I said, pie is pizza. So we have lots of pizzas, but I also throw in from Diabetes, shepherd's pie, and such like that. You have the challenge is, how do you make a building sexy? How do you make it say, come on in, I've got something for all of you. And that's what I'm trying to do with our park, is to make it the community's theater. And one of the projects, I oversaw the All-City Musical for about 10 years. I had 65 children all the time. They do cover my grade, just so you know. And it was the most rewarding thing I did with all of the youth in Akron. And they come from all over, not just Akron. We've had some from Hudson, we've had Auto Falls, so even as far as Independence, Sugar Falls, and it was a great experience. And then what led into that was the Millennial Theater Project, which they performed quite a bit in our night stage. But during COVID, we didn't stop. We did shut down the theater, but there was about 6 of us that continued to work. And I had a little bit of time to clear some of those webs in my brain. And I thought, why are we not celebrating older people? Why is that? I know the youth of tomorrow is very important, but what about the aging of today? And the subject of creative aging came into my life. So with my partner in crime, who was our development director back then, Ms. Martinez, I said, you have to help me. You have to help me fund something. So I have this idea that I need to create a theater project that is for older actors, 50 and above. And it's not going to be grandma's basement. And I said, I don't want to call it boomer theater because then everybody will go, ew. So I thought, I know what I'm call it boom. And with the reference of you take the mic, you drop, and you say, boom, I did it. I've done it. I can do it again, and here I am. So boom was created. And we're now on our 9th show, and we will be doing White Christmas this year at the 9th stage. So I invite all of you to come down and enjoy this. The talent ranges. Of course, I'm not going to put a 65-year-old person as a 23-year-old maid. I'm not going to do that. So it's multi-generation, but the core actors and the creative team are all 50 plus. So I've had so much experience. When we did Locomotion Ball, I had a man named Jimmy Kiabada. I love to say his name. Jimmy Kiabada. And he was the national tour. I was on the national tour of the King and I, he was the king. So he came to me during one of the auditions and he said, you know, I think this is a great idea. And I'm gonna suppress my equity part just to come in and perform. And it was amazing, absolutely amazing. So we also offer, I know it's the Rotary, so there might be some people here that have a business. We do offer a matinee show, you know, for your company. If you're interested, I have some information. I have all kinds of swag back there for you before you leave. And it's a great thing to do. Also, 100 years of the Civic, right? It's gone through so many transitions. I sometimes refer to it as the Madonna of its time. She had to keep reinventing herself, right? Just like the Civic did. And it did come in hard times. And it almost closed in 1960. And what did they want to do? Just like the song, put up a parking lot. They wanted to raise it, they just wanted to get rid of it. And then someone had a brilliant idea, well, we could take it piece by piece and move it down the road to where Ruger's Bagels was at. Well, there was a great group of people, just like the Rotary Club. The JCs came in and said, no, you can't destroy that building. We have to do something, we have to do something. So they raised money. And then there was a woman named Ruth Owens Longer, who was COO's wife by herself. And she came in and she said, I'm going to give you $50,000. See if this works. And it did. And then the women's schools, and hundreds of thousands of dollars later, they are still active. Our problem is they're aging out. To get people to volunteer anymore is very hard. It's very hard. Young people are so busy. You know, is it an old building? Do we want to be associated with that? Yes, you do. It's the vibrancy of downtown. And we bring in so many programs. So when I came in, they were doing 50 programs. Now we're doing over 350 programs. It's crazy. But because of that, we proved that we could move the needle. And we also then were granted E.J. Thomas Hall. I was also the marketing director for E.J. Thomas Hall. I was the interim till they figured out what they were going to do, because guess what? E.J. was in trouble too. And Howard said, we can't let that other institution go. So we brought in, we've been into negotiations with Playhouse Square Cleveland, and we brought in the Broadway in Akron down there at E.J. Thomas. And there's subscriptions, you can go to all the shows. So then that went from E.J. Thomas to Lock Free. I was also the marketing director for Lock Free. As you can imagine, I didn't have much time on my hands. But the vibrancy now, I don't know if you've gone down there, but after the multi-million-dollar renovation of Lock Free, it's amazing. It's just amazing. And the concerts continue. There's multiple gathering spots down there. It's vibrant. That's what we wanted to see downtown. We were on a decrepit block. I remember walking by and the pigeons would come out swarming at me. Now, what are we going to do about this? So then during COVID, we discovered we had some tax credits, historical tax credits. And Welty, who is a multi-billion-dollar corporation building, came in and said, hey, how about we take this tax credits and we'll do something with this block. They first were like, oh, okay, that sounds interesting, because we had plans to expand our box office. We had been saving and things have been going well. And there was a little building next to us. If you're looking at the Civic to the right, it was J.P. Whitelaw's building. Are any of you familiar with it? J.P. Whitelaw ran moonshine. He was a whiskey distributor up and down the Ohio River Canal. And he bought that building in 1869. And And through that, it had changed so many faces. It was also one time the peanut shop. You've been to the peanut shop, I suppose, downtown. And this building was decrepit. I mean, disgusting. And we walked into it and we were like, yeah, can you see it? Can you see it as your another venue for you? And we're like, yeah, maybe. So they came in, they built it, they redid it, and it's now the night stage. It's a 200-seat black box theater. State-of-the-art lighting, state-of-the-art sound, and we do that, we do jam. I was so excited to hear about Aaron Brown. He was on our board of directors, and he is phenomenal. If you go see him, he's great. So the night stage does jazz. It does one of my programs called Margaritas and Mojos. It does blues productions, and it does all MTP productions. So if you've never been there, I invite you to come down to see that, but we weren't done. Howard called me on my cell phone and he said, "He could come downstairs on the white bar." And I was like, "What's happening?" It was this decor bedroom. Because it's just filled with junk, trash. And I went down there and goes, "What are we gonna do with it?" And let's just use it for storage. I said, "This is our third venue in our campus." So down below, we have another venue called Wild Oscars. Why is it called Wild Oscars? Did anybody ask me? We had during the 50s, there was a man that would play the mighty Wurlitzer. And he was just like Liberace. And he was wild when he played. So to pay homage to him, we named it after him, called it Wild Oscars. So it's a 50-seat black box theater. And it's also available for rental. We've got wedding showers in there, and it really overlooks the canal right there at the waterfall. It's beautiful. So we do rent that. We do rent the Civic out. Some people don't realize that. We are really busy, excuse me, but we were able to squeeze things around. So we weren't done there either. That's why I don't get up at 7 in the morning. We also now run Goodyear Theater, which is such a historic gem. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but we are programming the heck out of that. And it's an incredible venue. And I sat there when I was a little girl. My sister worked for Goodyear. She was an executive assistant. And they used to give employees tokens that they could take their family members to see movies in the Goodyear Theater. And I saw Herbie, the BW. Yes, I saw that there. And I saw Don't Eat the Daisies there. And that's why I got a sheepdog. Things just happen, right? So we have been very happy to be able to keep the arts alive in downtown Akron. And people ask me certain things, what's it like? It must be tiring. You know what? It's the best job in the world because I get to say I'm one of the keepers of the memories. And people make so many memories in those buildings. Ralph Palmisano, who was our board president for a long time, came to me one day and said, "I got a little secret for you." Well, it's not a secret anymore when you tell me. And I said, "What is it?" I stole my first kiss with my wife on the balcony. As long as it stopped there, I'm okay. So we do have a lot of memories that we keep down there. And I have a lot of swag for you back there. I even have some vouchers for you to come and see a free show if you want. And say hi to me. If you see me running by, I'm sometimes flash forwarded, you might see me somewhere. But I so appreciate the time that you let me come in and talk to you about Jewel on Main Street, because it really is a jewel. And we're so proud. There's very few of them remaining. We always hear 5 to 6 of them remaining in the country. It's more than that. It's about 14. But because of John Eberson, who was our architect, he was also known as Opera House Johnny, because he would go over to Europe and build the famous opera houses French Opera House is one of his projects. In fact, inside the Akron Civic Theatre, our stairwell or staircase is a miniature version of the staircase that he built in France for the Paris Opera House. So much history there. Marcus Loew was the man who made the dream of all of these, what we call grand theaters. You cannot be called a grand theater unless you were commissioned by Marcus Loew and designed by John Eberson. Marcus came to Akron because he was just an amazing entertainment figure. When you go to the movies today, you can still see Marcus Loew. You see the lion roaring. That's MGM. He was actually the founder, one of the founders of MGM. So he had visions. He was a businessman. He did arcades and such. And he came to Akron. Why Akron? Why? Because it was the rubber capital of the world. And all of the rubber barons lived in Akron. And the population tripled when the industry came downtown. So he thought, what a great business I can get into. I'm going to build one of my grand theaters down here. And this one is a Moorish castle. All of them are built upon castle themes. And John Eberson, who was the architect, is also the father of the atmospheric theaters. So when you sit there and you look up and you see the stars and you see the clouds moving, and just a fun fact, the cloud machine is the original from 1929. It's still cool. And we had to fix it once. We had to send one of them to Germany. It was an old man in Germany that knew how to fix it, and he did. People ask me, how do we project those clouds? It's actually on an LP. And I know you guys know what an LP is. When I talk to younger people, they look at CT wet. So a French artist actually hand painted all of those clouds that you see that are floating across the sky. And it's a projection system. So back in 1929, they still had amazing, things that they could do with all of these projectors and such. And when we did our first renovation, they asked us if we would like to go to a different system. We said, absolutely not. We've got to keep it as original as we can. So it's got great history. Vaudeville, Desi Arnaz Jr., Mr. Houdini was there. We still have the trapdoor downstairs where he used to disappear when he would do his tricks. And we pay homage to him because we've never taken it down. They used to have a circus, and they would bring literally elephants to the stage. The first year they did that, the elephants could not go onto the stage because elephants, I guess, have an innate instinct as to what will hold their weight. And that was not going to hold their weight. So the guys came back and they put the people that worked at the Civic at that time, put these ginormous trusses downstairs. They are solid. You would think it's a whole tree. There's about 4 of them. And then the next year when they came back, the elephants would walk across the stage. So we know that our performers are safe. We know that. So there's just so much history, and I hope that you come down. Does anybody come to the Civic? I hope some people have. And we will continue our mission to program and give you something that will interest you, everybody. Whether it's a tribute band, whether it's Bob Dylan theater, we're going to have an amazing program. The Russian Ballet is coming to do Swan Lake. So it's a little bit everything to keep you happy. So come on down and visit us, and I can't thank you enough for letting me come today and speak. I think you're doing a great job too. We all need help. And when I got to Akron, there was a woman that was doing something similar to what I was. And I remember I just come from Europe where everybody, helped each other. And I turned to her and I said, I'm working in the Pacific now. What can we do together? She said, nothing. We don't do anything together. And I was like, wow, this is my city. What do you mean you don't do anything together? She said, we all fight for our own dollars. And I thought to myself, what happens when you go like this? Get nothing. When you go like this, get everything. So I appreciate what you're doing for the community too. And thank you, and keep supporting what you're doing and come down and see us. So thank you very much. I'm sorry for you. So don't leave. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, everybody. I'll field some questions. I might make us some answers, but I'll field some questions. Yes.
How many got the civic seat?
2,500. It's not, H.A. Thomas is about 3,000. So it's a little larger. Sometimes promoters want to go there because they want to make a little extra money. Because the seat difference, 500 seats, a lot of cash, And I want to tell you something too, we don't set the prices. Everybody gets mad at the Civic. They'll say, oh my gosh, El Divo is $800. You're just a rental, they come in, they set their own prices, so, unless it's one of my programs, and I'm always trying to make it really affordable, like the White Christmas is $25. And you can come down to the box office, okay, and you don't pay a ticket fee. If you order online, the only way you can order tickets is Ticketmaster. Please be careful when you're ordering online. There are so many websites that mimic us. And then we have someone that shows up at the box office and said, I just paid $800 for B.B. King and I have no seat. Where'd you buy it from? Because his tickets were only $65. Yes, and he's dead. You know what? I'm gonna write a book. It's gonna be called Behind the Curtain, because I almost got stuck on B.B. King's tour bus heading to Canada once, and I was like, I'm writing a book. I was with Bill Cosby before everything broke out. Yeah, I'm writing a book. So, so come down to the Civic, to the box office, shopping.
Well, first of all, thank you. This is a great presentation. It very inspiring stories to play out square methods and what they were going to tear that down. So my question was that is I've been there. The windows that are on the planting stage, that sign, are those just or are they actually?
In the night stage?
Yeah, I guess.
The little ones?
No,
Oh, the windows.
So there's like off to the side.
Oh, in the actual auditorium? Yeah, that look like they're Gothic.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I always was curious about it.
So those were never places to sit. They weren't opera boxes, okay? He was so ahead of his time, John Eberson, that whenever you go into the Civic and you look at anything that's painted blue and it has an arch, it looks like a window. Those are actually where the heating and the cooling systems are. He was like Walt Disney before his time. He would hide everything that he thought was ugly. If you come in and try and say, Val, I need to plug a cord in, good luck. And then we all laugh and watch people trying to find the plug in, because he even covered all of those up. So those balustrades and such were never a function except for heating and cooling. And then if you're looking at the stage, there's two of them. They look like, somebody's gonna come out like Romeo and Juliet at the balcony. Those actually hide every instrument that the mighty Wurlitzer hooks up to. The mighty Wurlitzer was bought for $65,000 in 1926. It was supposed to go to another house in Boston. And then Mr. Eberson said, no, I want it at the Civic. And now it's worth over $250,000. Those are the Cadillacs of organs. What you can't see when you go to church and you see all the pipes, all the wind pipes, he hid all those too. So they're hidden behind those two very large walls that are next to the stage. The wind pipes flow up to those two opera boxes. And inside there, and they're all encased in leather, is every instrument you can imagine. She has to push a button, and if it says trumpet, the wind literally goes to a trumpet. Those are real instruments that you're hearing when the organ is playing. There's a glockenspiel, there's a snare drum, piccolo, they're all up there. And a little fun fact, when Jerry Seinfeld comes, he actually calls us. His agent says, Jerry's ready to come back to the Civic. He loves the Civic, and he's like a little kid when he comes in. He wants to see everything. We had to take him up there so that he can see the instruments. But that's where they're at. Sometimes if you're there during a concert or the organ is playing, you might see the drapes move. It's not a haunting. It's just the wind coming through the pipes and making the trumpet blow or whatever she decides to do. Thank you for that question.
This might be a totally unanswerable question regarding our culture, but my younger son has been a theater his entire life. He was trained at a conservatory in Paris. When he finished, the city of Lucerne in Switzerland hired he and a colleague to come to Lucerne and establish a community theater, including the children's theater, which they did, and it's still going. And he realized after 20 years there that he was either going to have to stay here or he would have to come back to the US and start over. Well, it hit him in the head what you said about the US theater not having public support. We had a little public support before the recent budget cuts, but is there any indication that there are communities in the US that do actually invest in the arts? Because that's what brings us together and creates culture over time.
Absolutely. So we are very lucky and fortunate in the Akron area that the John S. Stein Foundation actually, started here with many newspapers and such, and they are instrumental across the United States in funding the arts. Lots of organizations too. It's just a matter of finding them. We've lost some of our support because now they're going more toward mental illness to support things like that, which is fun too. But yes, you have to, if you're an amazing grant writer, you can find it. It's out there. It really is. But we have been very blessed in this area that we have the John S. Knight Foundation, because they love to give to us. We have the Ohio Arts Council, which is incredible in Columbus. We have so many great organizations that do understand how important the arts are to the community. But I know it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating to live in an environment which I did, which was funded completely, and then to come here. But we put our noses down and we did it because everybody said, "Oh, we're the evil redheaded stepchild," is what they used to call us downtown. And we thought, no, we're not. We're going to try and make a difference in this community and keep the arts alive because they're so important. Yeah, but good luck to them. I know it's hard. Any other questions? Any other secrets you want to know about this? I got lots of them. Hey, you guys.
Thank you very much, Val. Your presentation today was wonderful and enlightening. The Civic Theater is such a beautiful facility. You're so fortunate to have it in our community. I remember going to see a production of South Civic many years ago with the great Robert Blake. But I'm amazed just how beautiful it was, and the moving clouds and so forth was fascinating. And I'm glad I finished about the Mighty World Serve and wrestling because I really thought we had our family job. That really great. Also, thank you for being part of the spirit that revitalized Akron. So many wonderful things to go on down there. Thank you again for being here. All right, and we have any special announcements from the club. I think, Bill, the has one, somebody, I think the microphone up to the bill, please, so that we can hear.
Just have some good news to announce. I guess you know I've been going through a difficult time with cancer. And I went back yesterday with my son Tom and my wife, and I'm clear. So I'm just today to congratulate.
So happy for you. You've been making a frame for you, so that's great news. Sure, Bill. But
It's popcorn time, so Scouts are out selling popcorn, so if you see them at the grocery store. Yes, we've changed vendors, so Mimi, you're happy, we have no more plastic buckets. So we've changed our popcorn vendor. We've reduced the number of products that we have, make it a little bit easier. And pricing is, believe it's 20, 30, or 40, so. We've had nuts for the last couple of years, but now we've incorporated, there's peanuts and regular salt peanuts as well. So if you see them, it's one of the ways that kids fund their ways to be able to have their program, so support them.
very good, thank you.
Just a quick, very nonpartisan announcement. The League of Women Voters of Hudson will be holding a candidates meeting where all the candidates have been invited to attend at the middle school auditorium on the 2nd of October at 7 o'clock at night.
Fantastic, thanks for sharing that.
Another non-political announcement, and that is next week. Great cash. Lots more cash. I'm gonna fleece you with a fine right now. You are in the ball because you're laughing too much. And so, Kelly ran over the ball. Done.
Oh my goodness, but if you're gonna do this, it's gonna be fine day, so again. Well, nice to hear. With the vibes, it's all over the great it's gonna help fund the new fantasy philosophy that we're going to utilize at Cabin. So thank you for reminding us of that, Andy, and next week will be a presentation out 9 fall. We follow from our meeting, I believe, a couple weeks ago, just regarding different ideas, so what we have for brainstorming for the programs we can do, and I believe. Did we ask them to write down some ideas for Andy to bring those?
Yeah, one we have to,
Yeah. Yeah. All right, you know, is they're thinking it or? Okay. Glad to feel better. But y'all, please remember to bring your ideas and so forth, meeting. And I also think it's the third week of the month, so I will be for extra slide. With us next week, that's what we're supposed to be sort of looking this year, this quarter. Yeah, we're gonna be in that. Yeah, so it'll be nice that, together, so. Other than that, do we have any other notices? I'm getting to it, I think you got a little bit back there, I can see the big smile on her face. Okay, well. We will now move on to our Road Luck raffle, which we have a payout today of $10 and a jackpot of 115. So Val is gone. So Terry, oh, you're back there. She's our visitor. I'll walk over to her. Thank you for your swag, my friend. You have the honor of taking the ticket. All right. And the lucky ticket is 490-032. John's got it. Awesome. There it is. All right, let's grab the articles and see if we got a winner. Thank you, Val. Great. Oh. All right, thank you, Tom. So I will end our meeting with a quote from President Barack Obama during a radio address in 2011. Even the smallest act of service, the simplest act of kindness, is a way to honor those we lost, a way to reclaim the spirit of unity that followed 9/11. Thank you, and all have a wonderful day.